are going. So progress is being made with the homelessness team. I haven't lived in Brighton for 5 years, which is why I'm not going to be able to get on the housing list. But what will most likely happen is that I will be placed in temporary accommodation from one place to the other until they can find another private accommodation for me. So that's most likely what will happen. I'm getting things in place, like something big for when I leave here. So that's a good thing as well. Yeah, everything's going well. Everything's going relatively well over here. I'm looking up some stuff online when it comes to company securities as it happens. I'm doing a little bit of research. So I'm doing a little bit of research into what kind of landlords would allow this situation to happen or who would encourage this situation to happen. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then on top of that, I'm working on the housing list, the homelessness list. I'm homeless. I've only been in Brighton for a year, so working on the homelessness list thing and then working on some other stuff. And yeah, things are going well. Things are going well. Like a bit quicker than I anticipated, but things are going well. Literally the reason I wanted to come on camera was to talk about the perps trying to use stupid taunts again, but I feel like now that I'm actually on camera, it doesn't really matter, does it? I feel like it's just another case of somebody being willing to... I mean, the thing is, right? These Liverpudlians, they keep going on about the N-word. They keep banging on about it. And I don't understand why they keep talking about it. And it's like, oh, you can't say the N-word because all of this just because of the N-word. I'm like, no, it's because you harassed me for 4 hours straight one night. And then throughout your entire duration here, your kids have been spying on me, taunting me. You've been obsessed with trying to control where I sleep. That's why I'm leaving. It ain't got nothing to do... I mean, it's got almost nothing to do with race. Don't get me wrong. You saying the N-word and you talking about me being a black this, that, and the third when you know what it means and you know why it upsets people, it's abhorrent and it reveals who you are as people. But you know damn well the N-word isn't why I'm leaving. You know damn well. So don't try and play off like I'm the one who's petty when you are literally banging on about the N-word more than I am. I'm the black person. I'm the one who was called the N-word. And yet you're talking about it more than me. Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. And the thing is, we all know how non-black people stay. We all know that non-black people, and especially white people, are willing to kill to say the N-word. What they're not prepared to do is to die to say the N-word. They're not prepared to sacrifice anything to be able to say the N-word. They everything is about profit. Everything is about gain. Everything is about what they want out of the equation. Ironically, it leaves them poorer than they would have been if they'd have just been decent people in the first place. That's for the majority of racists. It leaves them worse off than it would have been if they'd have just been pleasant to other people in the first place, right? But if you do end up in that situation, if you do end up worse off, even in a racist world, racists end up worse off if they're poor. So like if you want to be, you are only worse off because you don't understand exactly how your racism is harming you. If you knew how much your racism was harming you, I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't be racist. The majority of people in this day and age, the reason why they're not racist in this day and age is because it costs too much to do so. It costs too much to be racist. There's a saying that if you go woke, go broke, but the opposite is actually the case, because in order to be woke, you have to have certain connections. You have to have connections with foreign trade, and foreign trade is one of the biggest reasons why certain powers grow. You need other races in order to build your empire. You need other races to do it. So this go woke, go broke thing, it could not be further from the truth. You need different races, whether to subjugate them or to ally with them. You need other races in order to build your shit. So being racist, it makes you poorer. But that's not a sacrifice that racists make willingly. It's not. It's not a sacrifice racists make willingly. You know, it just isn't. They're prepared to kill to say the N-word. They're prepared to do the attack a person with the N-word, but they're not prepared to die for it. They're not prepared to face consequences for it. They're not prepared to be vulnerable for it. They're not even prepared to look bad for it. That is the textbook definition of a fucking coward. You all know people are far too happy to kill in the name of being racist, but they ain't prepared to risk they're not prepared to risk their life. If they're going to be racist to people, it has to be for maximum gain, only for them to be in even worse situations than they would have been if they'd have just been normal. If you want to say it, say it. But if you can't say it with your chest and accept the consequences, then don't fucking say it. It's as simple as that. You know what it means. You know what racial slurs mean. You know the history behind them. You're in the 21st century. Even the most rudimentary, ignorant ass person knows what racist taunts mean. You know what it means. If you want to say it, say it. But if you're not going to go all the way with your racism to the point where you would be willing to die for it, then just shut the fuck up. And I'm not advocating violence against anyone here. I'm simply saying black people have been dying for their right to be called human. Shit ain't a joke out here. They were willing to die to be called human with their chest. They were willing to die for it. There are people out here who were willing to die just to be themselves. Willing to suffer just to be themselves. I've been willing to suffer out here in Brighton, out of the frying pan into the fire. I've been willing to suffer for what I believe. Why the fuck do you think I stay winning? It's because I'm willing to suffer, willing to die, willing to go through all this shit, willing to age harder than a fucking, poor sap turned to stone. I'm aging out here faster than you will fucking believe. But I'm willing to go through all of that, all of it, to stand by what I believe in. Listen, I'm willing to suffer and die for the shit that I say. I'm willing to suffer and die for the shit that I say. And people understand that. People who see my social media, they know I don't play with that shit. I don't care what I have to go through. I don't care how bad I look. If it's in the interest of doing what I believe is right, I'm going to fucking do it. It's as simple as that. If I believe it's right to say the N-word, personally, I don't believe it's right to say the N-word. Well, not in the way that white people say it anyway. For black folk, it's different. There's a different meaning behind it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, these racists, they want to be racist. These perps, they want to be perps. Until it's time to be perps. You want to be perps, but you don't want to lose anything in order to be that way. You don't want to lose anything. Then why do it? Why do it? And speaking of perps, when it comes to me moving and me being homeless, what the gang stalkers really need to do is just do what the fuck I told them to do. I know that I'm the target, and I know that I'm not a gangster. I'm not a gang stalker. I'm a target. I'm a TI. But the way that they do things is so cack-handed. And then when things go wrong and things don't turn out the way they expect, they're wondering what's gone wrong. Well, it's very simple. You are more interested in hurting me than doing your jobs. At somewhere along the line, you got obsessed with trying to bring me down a peg or two, trying to make me feel this way, that way, and the other way, and you're not focused on doing your fucking jobs. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you get what you want. I end up raging. I end up in prison. Then it's just going to amount to the same difference as it would have been when I decided to leave. If I decide to leave here and because of the harassment going on, remember, I'm a mentally vulnerable person. So if I end up homeless because of the situation, then it's up to the council or up to anybody to decide where I go anyway. So even if you manage to upset me and manage to get me into a mental health facility or prison or something like that, because you're clearly trying to spark something, you're clearly trying to incite something by getting these stupid Liverpudlians to say the N-word over and over again. You're clearly trying to incite something. So if you're going to incite something, understand that if you get me in a certain situation, it's going to amount to the same difference anyway. It doesn't matter. I am still going to be institutionalized. I'm still going to be at the mercy of the council who decide exactly where it is that I go. So you might as well just do what the fuck I tell you. If I say I want to leave and I put in an application to be homeless on the grounds of harassment that you engineered, do what the fuck I tell you. Save yourself the paperwork, save yourself the work, save yourself the manpower. Do what the fuck I tell you. Save your money. Save your money and do what the fuck I tell you. Save your money and do what the fuck I tell you. How much money have you already wasted on this case? How many early penalties have you already taken on this case? Do what the fuck I tell you. Do what the fuck I tell you to do. Do what the fuck I tell you to do. If I tell you to shut up and stop trying to labor the points, stop trying to labor points in order to try and get a reaction out of me. If I tell you to knock it the fuck off, knock it the fuck off. Do what the fuck I tell you to do. Or you're going to keep losing. And you're going to keep losing money. You're going to keep losing staff morale because people lose staff morale with me. And you know they do. And I'm talking to the controllers and the people beyond the controllers. You know that these people lose morale in dealing with me. Even when they manage to get me in pain, they lose morale dealing with me. Knock it off. Stop trying to win. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. You've put yourself in a losing situation. So just do what the fuck I tell you. Do what the fuck I tell you. And everything will be all right. And I know to other TIs that sounds real arrogant, but the fucking gang stalking people, they've made a mess out of my case, and they know they've made a mess out of my case. There's no way they haven't done. They've made a complete mess out of my case because they honestly thought that, seeing as I was an anxious little person most of the time, an anxious and overly sensitive little person, they thought that if they put me in the worst situations they could possibly put me in, that I'll break somehow. That if I started crying, that means I would break somehow. Because they think that's how human beings work. And they're still not getting it. These people are dense. So my fellow TIs, I got to explain to them. They want to be a success, they do it. That's the only way they're going to stop me. Do what the fuck I tell you. That's the only way you're going to stop me. But they're not going to do that. And they're going to stay fucking up. And they're going to stay losing. Anyway, I love you guys. Take care. But yeah, these gang stalkers just need to stay in their lane. Stay in their lane and remember what the objective is. When it comes to cat and mouse, I'm the cat. Understand that. And I didn't need an electronic weaponry. I didn't need any electronic weaponry. I didn't need anybody stalking on my behalf, chatting shit on my behalf in order to get you all the way together. do what the fuck I tell you. I'm better at this than you. Anyway, I love you, my fellow TIs. Bye-bye.